pronto. Who is this you brought in the house this time? Come on, you got too many friends coming in, and I'm not even dressed. What are you doing? I'm sitting out here on my couch and relaxing, and here you got somebody else coming in. You know I got a transplant. You know your cousin over there on dialysis, and the other one over there got kidney disease. Come on, what are you doing? And come on, you know you're not even spraying. You're not wiping nothing down. You know the bathroom and everything is horrible. Come on, you gotta be able to disinfect the COVID. No mask. Nobody got no mask on. They wearing their shoes up and down all through the house. I'm not liking that. I know you young people. I know millennial and all of that, but I'm not liking that. I'm gonna have to make a phone call or something. I don't know what. I gotta make a phone call or something. What's that woman's name? What is that woman's name? Give me the phone. Somebody give me the phone. What is her name? Because I can't have this in my own house. That's abuse. You know, on a sick or the disabled. You shouldn't be doing that. Liza, Linky, Leke, Lika, Lisa. Oh, what a beautiful name. Lisa Baxter. Why? Because this is the Lisa Baxter Show. Woo! Giving you the 411 in the kidney world. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Happy Sunday to you. That's right. I am glad it's Sunday. It's showtime. You viewed, you showed, you liked, you shared. Thank you. Love to all of y'all. And I thank you once and once and once again. Listen, child, I got a great person for you. Listen, I call her the Terminator because she ain't leaving no patient behind. That's right. She a supporter. She is an advocate. Oh, man, she's just beautiful. She will fight for you. She will protect you. She'll get the law involved. If you are anything going wrong at a dialysis center or you know, she goes for the underdog. I ain't mad at her. She's the founder, right? She's the president of Dialysis Advocates and Associates Incorporated. That was added because it's something new. That's a little surprise I'm going to share with y'all. But that's what it is. All right. So I would like to introduce my friend and yours, the advocate of the year, Arlene Mullin. Woohoo!
Hi.
Look what I got. Dialysis royalty up in this piece. Hi and welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is tough. I've known you for so long, but this is the first time we've really done a show where I haven't been on the phone.
Right, because the first time we couldn't do it and you were on the phone, and I was glad for that, and we got good response and reviews, but we're going to get even better reviews right now because they see your beautiful face, and there's a face behind that soldier. I ain't mad at you. Come on here. Go ahead, General. Lieutenant, I ain't mad at you. We're going to drive that show and move right into the show. Listen, start out with your job of employment. What job have you had before of employment? Because sometimes things are stomping grounds to get to what you are doing now. Sometimes, not always, but.
Oh, you mean what did I do prior to Dialysis Advocates? I'm a lab technician by trade. I cross-trained into dialysis. So I am a worker who saw things that I was losing too many patients, and I saw the cheaper the care, the more profit they were making. And I called Medicare, and that blew my cover because I went to the network, and then had Senate hearings in 2000, which I was responsible for. And I just continued advocating because they didn't do anything. And when patients call you, you can't say, I'm sorry, but I don't do it anymore. Everybody has a voice and everybody deserves respect and dignity and quality care. So 22 years later, I'm here.
Wow. Wow. So you were in the center, up close
Right.
and personal with the
Mhm.
issues and the problems
Mhm.
of dialysis patients. And when you saw it, it bothered you. It made you concerned. It gave you your drive, your push to do what you're doing, I guess, now. But in the center, how long did you stay before you left to do, dialysis after
Um,
that?
I worked for a hospital, and then the for-profits came in and bought us out. And then I saw the loss of patients, I saw quality of care going down, and I was now working at Jiffy Lube or an assembly line and didn't have time to really know my patients or to get to know them, where before we had a safe ratio. And that disappeared when, with the sale, it was about get them on, get them off, 15 minutes on and 15 minutes to get that patient off. And you have that extra patient. You missed a blood pressure. It was very dangerous. And then the training bothered me that they brought people that had no medical background, and they were doing the actual dialysis and not waiting for a year and a half before they got certification. And pardon? And
No, I'm taking it in. Go ahead.
the technicians, so in other words, they had a year and a half before they had to be certified, and you couldn't do a hairdresser had to do 9 months and so much to show their skill. 9 months later, so many hours. And in dialysis, I was seeing a lot of training errors that were covered up, and special baths, anything that cost money had disappeared. And I made a phone call to the Committee on Aging and got the Senate hearing after I quit due to ethical and moral reasons. And that's all it would have been if the Senate would have done their job, because they found from the Office of the Inspector General and the Government Accountability Office that our patients were at risk, but nobody did anything. And then patients started calling me, and then how do you say no? So I didn't set out to do this. I just ended up doing it. So
It fell in your lap in a good way.
yes, 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 yes.
Wow.
Maybe it was a
Wow.
lot of work and lot of heartache and a lot of tears.
So you get a call on the phone from a patient,
Mm-hmm.
and then go. Tell me what happened. You get the call. The patient call you. Maybe they're in distress. Maybe they're crying. Maybe they're upset. Maybe they're hysterical. But whatever they are, you got the call. What happens after you get a call?
After I get the call, I listen because the patients need to hear, to verbalize what is going wrong. But I have to have them put it in email, and then I have to give them forms to fill out, to fax back to me or scan so we can start the process. So my job is not only to advocate, but set it up legally to, like court ready if I lose that patient, or if the industry does pushes back, then that's what the new organization is. But we take no money. This is wrong for what I see. Yeah.
It's very wrong, and it takes a strong person to jump in and do such a thing. You know what I mean? What
Yeah.
type of, you don't have to say any names, but what type of cases would you say they would call you about that you had to help legally or help at all or help to fix? You would say, Miss Arlene.
I would say it's getting worse. I'm hearing from one clinic who terminated a patient, and they're writing up, and we can prove it, false accusations in their charts deliberately. And then they do psychiatric reviews now because to prove that and they pick the psychiatrist. So we're finding a lot of patients who are a danger to themselves and others, and they call the police. So they do everything to set the stage for termination. And they're pushing back now. I had DaVita just the other a couple weeks ago, where they terminated a patient illegally. They put the patient back in the clinic. They were forced to, but they just want to do a better job in terminating a little bit more legal. So basically, in violation of the Code of Federal Regulations, every patient has a right for an advocate of their choice. DaVita doesn't recognize it. Even though it's the law. So they took, we had our lawyer on it because we can't leave our patient vulnerable and walk away, because how good are we if we leave them vulnerable? So they hired a law firm to go on with our lawyer. So I thought the patient is the most important thing to me. So we had civil rights go in and sit and be their advocate. And I'm sure they wish it would have been anybody else but them. So we have a great network, and my job, I feel, is to save the lives. Everyone is loved by somebody, and everyone should be treated with dignity. And
Oh yes.
that's
Oh yes.
it.
Wow. Well, you deal with the person that's been blackballed. I've been knowing you for years, years and years, and you and I
Oh,
have talked and been friends. And you introduced me to Chili Most, and I tell you, I was even on your radio show. You have a radio show also
mm-hmm.
that and everything. You could tell us a little bit about that as well, because all of that deals with advocates. I had needed an advocate for a person that been blackballed, and I sent them to you. I sent people to you before, and you have helped them
Yeah.
all. I thank you. Yes.
Well, the thing is what they're doing is they're deliberately writing falsehood in patients' charts. We had one that, and it's just not one patient, it's every patient. And patients wonder why they don't get their charts. They don't get their charts because they've written Attila the Hun has a better reputation than our patients, and it's deliberate. We can prove it's deliberate by other means. We're very strong, and we can prove that. And what happens is they will write up a patient, and then they do the psychiatric review in a lot of places, because calling the police is harassment. Policemen were called, but they only answer to disturbance calls, and these places are considered private businesses. So blacklisting, and we've had patients that have been cleared to go somewhere, to another state or another clinic. To get there, they're told what they can't take them because what was written in their chart. We had one that died after 2 years, and you can only be treated when you are near death. And if you're not near death enough, then you come back tomorrow. We need a lot of potassium on the way. This is wrong. This is not the way you should treat any human being. And I will not leave, and we will not leave. That's why we did the new organization until this stops, and it will stop. Trust me.
Oh, I know you're a force to be reckoned with. I know it's going to be stopped. We got God, we got prayer, and you got a host of people that's not scared to stand up and talk. You got the scared ones, but we're not one of them. You ain't, I ain't, this
Well,
whole network ain't.
I have to say, I really admire New York for what you guys have done to join in a coalition. And I'm really proud of you guys. I'm amazed that, because as a group, you can do much more than alone. And it takes patients' voice that really have lived it much more than my voice. I just deal with the horrors. But the brave patients who speak out, and I wanted to talk a little bit and introduce William, due to the fact
Right.
that we now are protecting our patients and legally and civil rights. So I lead in a little bit about this. DaVita's pushing back. The other companies, I have to say, there's one company that we're gunning for, and that's Satellite Healthcare Systems, for what they've done. I've lost 2 patients, and it looks like I may lose another one if somebody doesn't do anything. So we're going actively against them. But I was talking to Bill, and I said, I'm not a businesswoman. I'm an advocate. That is where my passion is. And he says, Arlene, why don't you use your civil rights, your medical people, and we're set up. So let me know when you want me to bring him on. But
go ahead. Who can live without that introduction? Come on, Mr. William.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
Sitting close. Come on in here.
All right, that's fine. We're just going to be real brief. Arlene, obviously, she and I have talked about this and came to me, and we came to the decision we're going to use the network that's been put together with attorneys, doctors, civil rights, all of that, and branch out into other areas of healthcare, probably most notably in the nursing home areas. But I'm going to keep this real brief, but Arlene is the best at what she does, and dialysis advocates will always be geared to the dialysis industry, and she's going to stick with it till she's satisfied that everything's right. But we're going to continue forward, start building another not a little organization, hopefully, but an organization where we can branch out, where there's, healthcare is a priority issue in so many other areas. So, but dialysis it'll always be here. Dialysis associates will always be here. Arlene's focus will always be on dialysis till she's satisfied that she's accomplished everything that needs to be accomplished.
Thomas, how did you get involved with it?
We're just personal friends. We were personal friends. We'll sit and talk about something, and it came up casually. I have a business background. I'm pretty much retired from the business world, and we were just bouncing things off to each other. And she was telling me some of her frustrations, and I said, "Well, you've got the organization. Use it." Wow. And I said, "Don't limit it to just one thing, because it's so complex that what she's put together. But she's going to stick with dialysis, and that's it. And it's always going to be that way with her."
Okay. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I came from dialysis. I got a transplant. I was on 12 years. What I like about you saw that she needed some help, and she's a person that's an advocate that helped people. And you saw that the advocate needed help, and you jumped in. So my hat off to you. Mad respect for you. Thank you so much for even going with this cause.
She's got such a drive and a talent and knowledge, and she was becoming so spread so thin with all these new cases that she's dealing with, and it was just overwhelming. And when you don't have time to concentrate on something, it gets sacrificed to a degree. I said, "You've got everything in place. Let's do something with it." So that's the result. This is the result of that. So she's going to be there. Pardon? Welcome.
Welcome to the family.
Well, thank you for inviting me to the show. I enjoyed it. Okay. I'm going to get you back to the boss here. Okay. Get out of your way. Right, thank you, Lisa. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Wow. So dialysis advocates will be doing the advocating, and the industry is pushing back, and it's getting worse. So when I need lawyer advice or whatever, they're all pro bono, our civil rights to sit in, or any patient who wants to volunteer to sit in, it gets really rough. So this way we can push back and protect the patients who come to us.
Wow. Well, do you have a website or a phone number?
It's the number that we're using, which will be that number, is 760-636-6073. The website's going up, but we're going to leave Dialysis Advocates, which is www.dialysisadvocates.com, is going to be the interim. But I'm pretty excited because, it was so obvious. I never saw it, but I think it makes sense because when patients come, we can advocate and let the lawyers deal with it if they start pushing back.
That works hand in hand and neck and neck.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. One of you will chase 1,000, but two of you will put tens of thousands of flight. That's the Bible. Right. But you and him, that y'all like the dynamic duo. So I love that.
We're good friends. Yeah, we're good friends.
You put the cause there, and you put the help there at the same time. The law is important because you need the law on your side when you're dealing with people with disabilities, people dealing with struggles, and they don't see no way out. But honey, you saw a way out, and we appreciate that about you. What's the hardest thing about what you do, Arlene?
I think the hardest part is to see how they're treated, how patients are treated in many clinics. And what the hard part is I hear the voice, I hear the tears, and the success stories. And we've had many of them. And I think that when we all leave the earth, we should leave a footprint for the world being a little better because we're here. Dialysis needs to change, and trust me, it will. I will not stop until it does. And now I have the ability to do it on a larger scale. Everybody deserves dignity, respect, but patients do not have a voice. And a lot of patients are scared to death to complain because it's the first foot out the door. Trust me, almost every patient that has come to me is hospice, because they're not profitable enough, or they terminate them when they're of no more value, the patients.
My God. Now that's terrible. And God knows that definitely is a shame. You know what I mean? You know, but you're doing what you got to do, and you're doing that very well. You know, what would you say? What was one of your success stories? Just before I end the show.
I had one, and it was a DeVita. Well, I've had many, but I think this was my favorite. She was her first day in dialysis. In fact, it's on our our Facebook, and she went in for her first day of treatment, and they give you a bunch of papers to sign. So and the nurse is supposed to witness it. Well, she was on the machine, and she had written that she was not warned or told anything about dialysis. She was clueless as to what was going to happen. The nurse gave her another one and said, you need to redo this. Take this off and then sign it. She goes, no, nobody explained it to me, and that's the truth. They took her off the machine, gave her blood cells after 2 hours, escorted her out the door, and told her never to come back, that she was never a patient. She came to us, and it was like, how can you not be a patient when you have, this is her ID number, her patient ID number. The patients need to be aware of their charts, what's written in their charts, and they do have a right to review the charts. And if something's in there that you don't agree with, you have the legal right to put your side of the story into it, because once it hits the medical record, it's written in stone. And behavioral contracts are illegal. They're put in medical records, and once you're in a medical record, they can't. This is all set up deliberate. And I mean, when you see thousands of cases, and I can pick up the phone and pretty much tell the whole story before the patient does, because I've been through it 1,000 times before. They have the same rule book. They all do the same kind of terminations, have psychiatrists visit you. We had one lady that was 10 weeks in the hospital after being terminated. We got involved, and she had 3 psychiatric reviews from psychiatrists. And when she called the police they wouldn't let her go. Called the police, they said, well, she can't go. She's a danger to herself and others. She finally got released and into another clinic. But what if she didn't have a place to go to complain that wasn't the industry?
Wow. Ooh. Now
that's just one. That's just one. I have thousands of them.
Oh, I'm sure. I always say you should write a book, but I know you don't want to relive it. I know you don't want to relive all of this stuff that you've encountered. So I respect that. You know what I mean? But if you had words of wisdom to a pioneer out there that want to be just like you, what would you say?
Get lawyers.
I ain't mad at you.
Because, to advocate, or to really truly advocate, you have to have something that's going to bite them back. And when these bad players, the only God they know is money, period. So the loss of money and bring it out to public. I've not been shy about bringing these people out to the public. The light of day needs to happen, and patients need to know that they have a place to go. They are safe now. I couldn't always say that, but I haven't lost but 1 or 2 in 22 years. So it's a pretty good record. But the industry now is pushing back really hard. So
they know who they got to deal with now, and now you got law on your side as well. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Not really. Just all the patients that need help. We don't charge anything. And this too shall pass, because I will not leave. I still am dialysis advocates. I will advocate. And when they start pushing back, that's when they go to the other side of our organization, because I believe everyone has a right to do what's right the first time. And if I'm not going to fight with you, I'm just going. Our patients, a lot of them don't have time if they're terminated.
Wow. Well, you heard it, guys. You have heard it out there. This is the woman to talk to, the woman to contact, the woman to see if you are struggling any type of way in that dialysis center.
And they're confidential. They're confidential. We never relieve a source.
Yes. See, you done heard it. See?
And workers too.
That's right. None of us get paid for this. And we thank God that, it's out here. All right. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. Well, listen, I thank you so much for doing the show again. I thank you for coming back. I thank you for the new things that you're doing now that you were still working on back then, that you just did newer and better things. So thank you. And thank you to my friend on the side in the back there. And
Bill? Well, he says COO, so I call him Cuckoo.
Thank you, Lisa.
Mr. CEO, Madam President, and Mr. CEO.
There you go.
All right.
I appreciate you having us on.
Thank you. And all the patients are safe if you come here. Okay? Thanks.
You're welcome. Have a great night. Happy Sunday. Yeah. Be well. Be safe. And remember to cover up and do what you got to do with your hands and stuff.
Oh, right? I do.
We got it.
Excellent. Beautiful.
Okay.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Well, guys, I am going to say good night. I thank you. I appreciate you. Share this. Learn something from it. Give it to somebody out there that might need an advocate. And she's the right type. So we love you. God night. God bless. Peace. Mwah.
Y'all ready for this? Yeah. This is the Lisa Baxter Show, giving you the 411 and the kidney one. My girl, and say, this is